We continue today upon the Egyptian Heaven and Hell by Wallis Budge. The first book is called Ym Duat, and today we go into the fourth chapter. The fourth division of the Duat, which is called ascent through. In the scene that illustrates the fourth division of the Duat, which is passed through by the sun entity in the fourth hour of the night, a region which is entirely different from anything seen previously is entered. We see that the central arrangement, we see that the general arrangement which makes each division to contain 3 sections has been followed, but the actual path of the boat to the sun is different. Instead of passing along the middle section as before, the entity is obliged to pass over the region of the kingdom of Seker. Now, this can be said to be symbolic of one's own journey, and so bear with me. There's a lot to go, but over the next few months, I will present some stuff, and you can interpret, and I will throw in some other information and interpretations as well, but mainly I'm just going to read the book. The course, which was usually passed over by the dead, runs from one side of the section to the other diagonally, and it may be thus described, starting from the upper side of the topmost division of the corridor, which is called Restau, because that would be the whirl upon the line is stau, Restau, slants across to the lower side. At the point where it touches the line, which divides the first and second section, is a door, and is thrown open. Now, whether you're going mystical journeys of the psyche or initiations or something, the names of the doors and the entities and stuff matter. So the door is called Madas Smata. Not whatever. The corridor parallel, with the line which divides the first and second section for some distance, and is described as the road of the secret things under Restau. The entity doth not pass by the leaves of the door, but they hear his voice. A sharp bend takes Restau in a slanting direction across the middle section of the scene, and at the bottom of it is another door, which is called Modest Mauat. Modest Mauat. Okay, Modest. Oh, Smata. Okay, Modest is probably the start of all these ones. Modest. The corridor runs parallel with the line which divides the second and third section for some distance, when it crosses the section again in a slanting direction, and at the end of it is a third door, which is called Madas Nan Heh. Meaning eternity. In the second slant of the corridor is an inscription which describes it as the road by which entereth the body of Seker, who is on his stand, the image of which is hidden and neither seen nor perceived. Now remember, the heh, the yah, and the heh can be used to relate to Yahweh as the formula, the the cyclical and the linear, the lunar and the solar, etc., etc. And it became the tetragrammaton that we know today. Hidden, either perceived, and so there's some variant of that text, but don't need to pronounce them both. As the further course of the quarter will be described under the fifth hour, we may pass on to consider the boat of the sun and the means by which the entity makes its way onward. Ra and the entities who formed his crew have left the boat in which they traveled until now, have betaken themselves to one, each at the end which terminates in the head of a serpent. The serpent of the boat is drawn along by 4 entities which are called Dwan, Nen, Ma, Har, Warfu, Gyur, Lafrutu, and Shatai. Above the boat is written, "This great entity journeyeth over those who are in the scene and the flames which the mouth of his boat emit him guide through these pools. He seeth not their forms, but crieth to them and their places, and they hear his voice." So even though nature means God, I'm not saying that there's each thing referred to God here is actually one. So I'm trying to replace the term entity because this is what we're supposed to understand as our own journey, right? I'm not saying there's not real spiritual things going on, but anyways. In the front of those who tow the boat of Ra are a form of Ysir, Osiris, called Monxti. Okay, it's called Monxti. Are Monxchi. It's not E, it's E. I forget the long vowel. Okay, you have the crook of Ysir being Must Yasir. You have something Set Shur as the alternative for that. You have Thoth, Dahote, or Dote, ibis-headed, and Horus, hawk-headed, facing each other with the Utchat above, the 64th eye symbol is Utchasu R Rasu, or the razor. That of Horus is called Au R Au, the wide of hands. The Utchat, so Uch Su probably, is called Sekre. The entity Suchun Hat are Suchun Ch. Wearing the crown of the south, the entity Her he whose place is over the burial, having the head of 2 curved objects, which M. Maspero identifies with the mummy bandages. The entity Uch Hre, the green face. Remember the green man in the European mythology. The entity Hutup, to be pleasing, who carries the crook of Ysir mentioned above. Oh, it's 10 pages over in this book where it's mentioned. 3 entities, each of whom carries the Ankhs in his left hand. I don't even have my little one out. Maybe I should have that out as a visual because, you know, some people may want visuals other than me sitting here with the book. Now, won't they? His left hand, whose names are Sim, Onks, Yun, Her, and Ut, Med. You know, because that little thing right there with the line across, that's the Mud. The demoness, Nubut Onks. The text which refers to these beings reads, "Those who are in this picture, in their forms of their body, are the hidden, upon the way of the holy country, whose secret things are hidden. They are the guardians of the way of the holy, for those who enter into the hidden place of the Ym Duat, and they keep ward over Yinpu." Oh, he doesn't say it's Anubis, but Yinpu is the Egyptian for Anubis. "In his forms as he tows them along, which entereth in by them in the Holy Land." And remember, Yinpu is, you know, sort of the processor of the dead, sort of the grave personified. In the upper register are a demoness wearing the crown of the north, apparently a form of knife, and the crown of the north. Well, anyways, let's make sure you see the illustration, because the illustration helps with the symbolic interpretation. You know, the serpents of duality, but we're even more in more parts: body, mind, soul, and all that. Life, but we're on to sleep, right? Are the spiritual underworlds and all that. A serpent with a human head and 2 pairs of human feet and legs. 3 serpents which move side by side along with the ground upon their bellies. Of them it is said, "Those who are in this picture make their passage to every place each day." And there's another variation on page 67, or another reference we can... Oh, well, this is earlier in the text that I've shared before, but the scorpion, Angst, and the 3 large Urias. Of this it is said, "Those who are in this picture stand in the Restau at the head of the way." Behind these stands an entity who appears to be making an offering of 2 libation vases to the serpent. Of him it is said, "He who is in this picture is the guide of the holy way." A 3-headed serpent with a pair of hawk's wings and 2 pairs of human legs, and of him it is said, "He who is in this picture is in the Duat, is the warder of this holy way of the Restau. He liveth upon the abundance from his wings, his body, and his heads." The entity Ym Duat, who holds a scepter, Nub Cow. You know, sometimes you got to go ooh when you have the plural signs. Which has 2 heads, one on the end of its body, and 1 head instead of a tail at the other. Of the entity Ym Duat it is said, "He who is in this picture is in the form which Horus made, and he openeth the way for the 2 entities on this way." Of the serpent Nahbkau it is said, "He who is in this picture is in his place at Netmu by the holy way, the passage of Restau, and he journeyeth about to every place each day, and he liveth upon the abundance of that which issueth from his mouth." An entity who grasped the 3rd head of Nahbkau with his right hand, and a staff with a curled end in the left. Facing him is a headless entity called Ym Duat. And we're having more illustrations here. Sometimes you have Actually, not sometimes. A lot of the times you have things other than just the name particular to a version in one grave or one text of another. So, but there was a generalized system, so one version's going to give you the basic layout of the 12 hours, or the 12 divisions, sunset to sunrise, and the afterlife and hell and the parallels anyways. An entity of the south, a demoness of the south, and a demoness of the north. Of the last group of the figures it is said, those who are in this picture and the form wherein Horus made them, and they are warders of the serpent Nahapu, who guideth them to the hidden thing which is on this secret way. And, okay. Nahup. Okay, Nahup. Not Nahepo. Nahup. Yeah, Nup. The serpent Nup. Because it's not, it's, anyways. In the lower register, a large boat, each end of which terminates in the head of a woman. Lying along the bottom of the boat is the serpent Hajj Nau. Concerning him it is said, he who is in this picture is in his boat. Great is that which guardeth the Ahath chamber. He standeth up at the mouth, which the hidden passages of Yip chamber. And he liveth upon the two voices of the head of the boat. And there's a text in the plural here. Under the neck of the serpent is the emblem of life. A woman called Nudge. Oh, Nudge. Need. Standing. A woman called Shatra. Oh. Okay, standing. The divine mummy form, Bani, a lion head demoness called Hen Kurch, a demoness with a pair of horns on her head in a sitting position, but with no throne to sit upon. Her name is Thust Yipt. Of these beings it is said, those who are in this picture are in the forms wherein Horus made them, and they stand on the ground of Restau in the hidden place. The male serpent, Yemen, the female serpent, Hakunt is, okay, I want to make sure I said it right, which has a human head growing out of its body. A little distance from the tip of its tail, the human head faces the serpent Yemen. Of the male serpent, it is said, he who is in this picture is the guardian of the secret passages which lead to the Ahath chamber. He journeyeth around to every place each day, and he liveth on the words of the entities who guard this road. And this is going to be of the last that we encounter here. We have 14 heads and a double text. Sonman, and oh, maybe it's not a double text. Saw Manux. The meaning of the legend, which refers to the female serpent Hakunt, is not clear. It reads, Okay, I guess I have to read this thing. Okay, we have one some sir. We have punam sa u maju chun some hers on cheers. I'm at a loss for words of what that means. If anybody could help me. The three-headed serpent, Saman, what is described as the hidden image of the Ahat chamber of Seker, which is illuminated daily at the birth of Ktepre, by that which cometh forth from the faces of Munmunt. Over the back of this serpent are 6 stars and 14 human heads, each of which is surmounted by a disc. These 14 heads represent, as Ym Duat has well shown, the entities of the first 14 days of the month who are being carried by the three-headed serpent to the Utchat, which Thoth and Horus, Jehote and Hur, are carrying to it. They appear again in the next division of the Duat, where they are seen drawing along the boat of the sun the wing disc of the entity Phre. Beneath stands the envoy of heaven, with his right hand raised and his left stretched out, and behind him is the entity Maat. And I guess one last illustration to consider. The kingdom of the Seker. Oh, he's about to put it on what you can consider the temple or the establishment. There's no head with this one. That's possibly Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya Nama Om. You kind of can feel headless or something to a degree, kind of with that. Eternity. What does it? So the external actions go against the other ones, but